Hey, this is Nick the Mighty Mook Guy. It's the morning of Monday, March 26th, 2018. I'm in a bit of a rush, so I'll really try to keep this video a little quicker. Before I get into it, I have two other Sarama videos that this is adding on to for 2018, the series. So make sure you check those for more background. All the links I'm showing should be below this video, as I might go through some of them pretty quickly. Before I get into the details, I do need to mention this is mainly focused on recent news releases, but also a great experience I had at PDAC, where I had about a 20-minute conversation with Don Dudek at Savary. I had maybe a pretty good 10 or 15-minute conversation with some of the representatives at Semafo, and I had an excellent hour and a half conversation with Andrew Dinning at Sarama. So a lot of the great information I'm sharing here came from anecdotes with those guys and gave me a better feeling for what's going on in Burkina Faso. So I'm going to start with some stuff on Sarama, go into a little bit on Savary and Semafo, and then circle back to Sarama and Teranga, so you know what's going on. So this there are some news releases that we have to go through for sure that are kind of exciting. So Sarama had a private placement. It was looking to raise $3 million Canadian. What's important here, it was at 10 cents per share, no warrants, though there were broker warrants. I think this is important because it implied that Sarama was not having difficulty doing a raise, which is great relative to some other juniors in the space that had to do, full 5-year warrants and all of that. There were other great details in here, interesting stuff. Looking to do a second listing in the ASX, something I was a little skeptical of. A couple new brokers, Arlington Group Asset Management out of the UK, Argonaut Securities out of Australia. So I was very intrigued by that, and I wanted to ask Andrew about this when I was at PDAC. Before I even went there, I was looking at some transactions that Arlington had done prior, and what I really liked to see was that they had some serious ones with Resolute, Kilo Gold and Resolute. I think a little bit of that was combined, and Perseus. Well, anyway, these are three African based juniors or mid-tiers, and I think I assumed that it was a positive to get in front of a lot of new get Sarama in front of a lot of new African companies. I think there was a bit of a connection there. Argonaut is out of Perth in Australia, I believe, and from talking to Andrew, I do think even this helps for an ASX dual listing. Sarama could have a lot more liquidity there. It's unusual to start on the TSXV and to list in Australia, but I'm more convinced that this is going to work out well for Sarama down the road. I think I will. Yes, I will. I will tell you the one biggest thing I got out of talking to Andrew, because there was quite a bit, was that there's a lot of money lined up that wants to get in Sarama. People in North America have, or at least retail, has no idea how many new faces, new institutions or investors are interested in this type of company. And my impression is that they almost weren't aware that Sarama even existed. And so I already knew this, had an idea from Andrew that more money was going to come in. Already the raise was increased from 3 million to 4 million. Andrew told me that the money was lined up. There's actually more money lined up, but he doesn't want to go crazy with the dilution at 10 cents. And so what's really important is that if Sarama's share price goes even higher, it's very likely more money is going to be raised. Maybe something like if Sarama trades at 20 cents, then Andrew would be like, okay, more money can come in and maybe another $10 million come in. That's very unusual. It shows there's a lot of interest here, like pent up interest. And as a shareholder, as someone interested in the company, this it validates why Sarama is trading at 12.5 or 13 cents right now, even though the raise just happened at 10 cents, trading at a premium to the raise. So that's one of the most important things we discussed. A lot of new shareholders came in. There was still support from the longer term shareholders like Sun Valley Gold, an important institution. So that was probably the best information I got out of this. I am fully convinced that the ASX listing is going to be a positive. But going back into Savary, Savary actually had a news release just last week, and I thought it was pretty solid. But this shows the difference between what's going on in Savary and Sarama. Savary is 100% focused on drilling. Keep in mind that I wish they could drill more out of this, for their sake. But because of the deal between Savary and Sarama on this property, Sarama currently still owns 30% of the Karankaso project. The drilling will be capped, I believe, at $2 million, $2 million USD this year. So there's a lot of drilling going on, but really there should probably be like 5 million drilling. And I like the stuff Don says about the drilling, but there hasn't been super exciting results. This southern part of the properties is probably the most interesting area, but they're looking to have a big discovery. Now, to tie in with that, this is from Semafo's recent PowerPoint. They have a whole slide devoted to the strategic investment from Semafo here. And then there's this Bantu property that I've never talked about in my videos before. And Semafo is going to spend $3 million. And I think these are Canadian numbers here. So really importantly, Semafo is interested in this area, but both Semafo and Savary have said they're looking to have, some type of small, maybe based on further discoveries, have a couple million ounces, and they'd have a mill here, and it would actually be separate from the rest of Sarama's projects. This was a good slide here. So what I just showed you, and go back and forth, these two properties here are the same as these two properties here, and all of this stuff is Sarama stuff. So Savary and Semafo are trying to do something on their own, even though, keep in mind, Sarama still has the JV here. And this Bantu property is getting drilled at the same time as the Savary property. There isn't quite enough yet for a mine, but it's very possible, based on discovery this year or next year, that they will have enough. The one big thing I think that I find questionable on Savary is that I think there's still metallurgical issues. There aren't that many oxide ounces. There's still a lot of work that needs to be done here. I'm not convinced that they're as close to a mine as what Sarama has over here. Not at all convinced. So I'm skeptical on that. I still own shares in Savary. I also find it a little weird that Semafo doesn't want to consolidate the whole area. But part of this also is that this is not a number one priority for Semafo. Look at this this picture from back in 2015, right after the Orbis acquisition. So this property at Natugu is why Orbis acquired. By the way, yeah, again, check the notes below if you want to see this blown up, and you'll be able to check it out. I just didn't have time to find the best PowerPoint here. But they got Natugu, Nabanga, all these Bantu properties. I think even basically all these properties came through the Orbis acquisition. There's another slide here. Yeah, you can just see them all listed. It was incredible, for $155 million. It was perhaps the best, besides Fekola for Beetle Gold, this was the best acquisition that happened during the downturn, like bar none, in the gold space. So the point I'm trying to make is that when I talk to Semafo, they don't know what their next mine is going to be after Natugu. It could be Nabanga, if they can get to 1 million ounces, 100,000 ounce a year. This is actually high grade, deeper. It's very similar to Rock's Gold, like a smaller Rock's Gold. It could be this Bantu area, but there's still a lot of work that needs to be done. So don't think that Savary and Bantu, this is like coming down the line right away. That's what keeps me. I'm holding back on really investing so much in Savary, and at the same time realizing that Savary and Sarama are kind of separating even more in terms of strategy based on what's going on. So I thought that was really interesting to learn that. I actually like Semafo as a larger company, but if I was going to say one last thing on this, I wanted to get into this slide. I'll actually blow this up. So this is from Orbis. This was, if you search for Orbis, you'll find some older news releases. There's a lot of stuff online. This is a PowerPoint, I think 2013, 2014. So this is a blow up of that Bantu property. And this is what was frustrating to me. The biggest reason I was disappointed in the last couple of years is I thought that Semafo would do a deal with Sarama. I think it made total sense, but for whatever reason, Semafo decided not to. The thing is, this Tancoro area is on trend with Sarama's main deposit, and it seemed like it would have made a ton of sense. But this is the area, this Bantu area, where Semafo, I believe, is going to be drilling more, and where more of the whatever resource they have. It's not, they don't have an official maiden resource, but it's probably around 300 to 500,000 ounces. This is higher grade stuff, but there's not enough for a mine yet. I guess the point is, Savary and Semafo are doing something that's interesting, but it's not a super priority, but it's definitely separated from what Sarama is doing and from what Teranga is doing. So unlike my very first video in this 2018 series where I thought maybe this whole area would be consolidated, what's really important is that Savary and Semafo could have success doing their own thing in one area, and Teranga and Sarama are very clearly having success in the other area of the belt. And that's kind of an interesting competition going on. This was an important news release from Teranga, March 12th. So they got a huge amount of debt, which is great for their main project. Wagnion project in a different part of Burkina. But if you notice here, secures an additional 25 million for Golden Hill. So this is huge, and this is a clear difference from Semafo. Teranga, all signals point towards Teranga definitely wanting Golden Hill to be their next mine, while Savary is not at all sure if Semafo is not at all sure if Savary and Semafo with the Bantu area is going to be the next mine. So there's a difference in priorities, and Teranga is going to have a maiden resource on this Golden Hill at some point by the end of this year. They had some actually pretty good looking drill results. I haven't asked for expert advice yet, but I believe there's some clear continuity happening, some good grades. And so what's really important with Teranga, the most important thing I'd say is will Teranga be able to get to 3 million ounces on their own and actually make a lot of progress without being required to buy Bondi and the 3B projects, which I've mentioned in previous videos, all surrounding Golden Hill, or will they absolutely be forced to buy them to make the project large enough? There's two positive scenarios I see. One is that maybe Teranga gets to like 2 million ounces, and then they need to buy the 3B projects to get to 3 million ounces or of resource, which gets them to maybe 1 million ounces of reserve. And so they absolutely have to buy Sarama, or Sarama makes so many excellent discoveries in the 3B area that Teranga wants to buy them because like what Sarama is doing is on par or even better than what Golden Hill is. And maybe Golden Hill will be the center of a mine there, but in either scenario, Sarama wins. And I got clear confirmation from Andrew that the relationship with Teranga is very good. Teranga's participating in these placements. They don't own 10%, but they're definitely want that toehold in the company. It's something the market I think still underestimates. So again, Teranga, Sarama, very good relationship. Semafo, Savary, very good relationship. Two different things going on. Nothing really negative, but it's less likely that there's going to be this near-term big consolidation, and more likely to see interesting results on those two sides of the Houndé belt. A last thing, and this is I'm going to have more on this probably later this year. I'm very excited about this ASX listing because I really feel that Sarama is going to blow away all these little African juniors when you benchmark them on the ASX, because it doesn't get compared to them right now because it doesn't have that listing. And here's something I'm throwing to you. I think there's a lot of people who aren't even aware of this. So Mako Gold is this new junior. Interesting tie-in. The people who founded Mako Gold are the same people who discovered Natugu, who started Orbis. So they have a lot of credibility, and Resolute is actually backing the IPO. The IPO is happening about right now. So if you do a search, this is a company I'm definitely interested in. And after the IPO, if it pulls back, I might buy some. But what's really important to me is not just that this shows all the activity going on the ASX in Africa, but also that it ties in with Sarama, where the main projects in Ivory Coast, the Napier project, and I think that's really interesting. But then there's this Tangora project, and this Tangora project is adjacent a lot of people don't realize this. It's adjacent to the Kumandara project for Sarama. So that a lot of people undervalue the Kumandara project, and these guys don't have any resources yet. And it's very possible that post IPO, the market cap's going to be, or enterprise value is going to be very similar to Sarama, maybe a little less. But this just really shows, like, no matter how great Mako Gold seems, why wouldn't you buy Sarama that has multi-million ounces in the ground already? And you could very much argue that the Kumandara project, which Sarama has, which is right around here, is as prospective, if not more, than all of the 3 projects that Mako has. I'm just throwing that out there. I'm going to go into more detail in a future video, but I think that's really important and something you should be excited about for juniors in the African space. And you really need to start following ASX listed companies if you're mostly following just TSXV to really get an idea of what's going on in this area, why I'm so excited about it. I guess the last thing is just I'm showing. Oh, it looks like somebody bought some. so Sarama, this is Monday morning. Sarama's trading at 13 cents. I just want to emphasize, and you can see level 2 here. If you're interested in just a shameless promotion, interested in TSXV market depth, you should go with CEO.ca. I pay them money. I think it's great. I really strongly feel that we may never see 10 cents again. We might not even see 11 or 12 cents again. I think anything 13 cents or below is a really good buy for Sarama right now. I mean, 24 million market cap with 4 million cash. I actually need to verify that, but roughly a 20 million enterprise value. There's going to be drilling announcements for Bondi and Kumandara soon. This could run, I think, just on those announcements. And then over the next 6 months, I expect the ASX listing to come in, and I really think the liquidity is going to push up, and I'm going to be really talking about this at Hot Copper. So whether you buy immediately or you look to buy in the next month or two, it's very possible this could run to 15 or 20 cents, and then more money gets raised. I really think the snowballing is going to happen soon. So more than my previous videos, I really feel anything between 10 and 13 cents is a very good buy here. And if you're serious, about trying to get into something early, Sarama is absolutely the best bet for early stage juniors in Africa right now. Way more stuff, positive stuff going on for them than most people realize. And yeah, make sure to follow this. If you're interested in Africa, make sure to keep an eye on Sarama. If not, buy it. I own some Savary, but Sarama is the one that really has a lot more going for it at this price. This is Nick, the Mining Book Guy. Thanks for listening, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.